Hi, and welcome to another Witch Doctor's How-To video. Today we're going to show you how to change the air filter on a cross-country or crossroads Victory motorcycle. We're going to use a high-performance filter from Victory, but also same thing applies if you use a stock air filter or you just want to change it. Alright, so the first things you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get a 10mm socket on a ratchet, a 4mm Allen wrench, and you can either use a socket like this or an Allen wrench itself. And the other socket you're going to need is a 6mm Allen wrench socket. So those are basically the tools you need to do this. The first thing you want to do is there's a fitting in here. You can see that fitting that has a green right here has a green clip on it. That's your fuel line fitting. So what you want to do is you want to take some rags and put it up in there, around there, because when you take that loose, gasoline's going to come out. And you want to make sure you have the engine cool when you do this. Do not do this on a hot engine. Because number one, you can burn yourself. Number two, if that gas gets on there, you can cause a fire. So what you want to do is those green clips in there, you just want to squeeze them together and pull the line off. Once you squeeze them, you'll feel it and the line will come right off. So that's real easy to do. Okay, the next things you're going to want to do is take this ground wire off. So the 10mm ground wire. Just loosen up that bolt. Set that wire aside. You have two hoses here. Just pull them out. Pull that down the side so it's out of the way. There's a bolt here and a bolt here that hold the gas tank on. Those are your 6mm Allens. Just loosen those up. They come out real easy. Now there's a grommet on there. Make sure you don't lose that rubber grommet right here. Make sure you don't lose that. Sometimes they go falling and rolling across the garage floor. Take those bolts out. Now, right under here, if you lift the tank up just a little bit, the inside grommets are in there. Those will go rolling across the floor too. You have two of them. Just take those out so you don't lose them and set them aside. Right here you have a wiring harness. You have to disconnect that harness. So you just find a little tab connector, lift it up, pull the wire apart. It comes right out. Now, a lot of people talk about breaking off the fuel nipple. Seems like it's a real common thing. If you do it the way I tell you, you shouldn't break the fuel nipple. Now, this is where you want to have a second person help you. And the other thing, if you can kind of do this, try to run the gas tank down to like very low, empty, so it's not so heavy. That makes a big difference when you're trying to lift this off. So once you get a second person, a helper, I'll show you what to do. Okay, the one last trick, like I say, to not break that fuel nipple. Up under here there's a zip tie that holds the fuel line that you took off earlier. You want to cut that zip tie. Okay, that'll allow this fuel line to stay loose. A lot of guys take off the fitting that's up underneath the gas tank. You don't have to do that. It's the same line. You've already disconnected it. So let's just lift the gas tank off and I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. And this is where a person helps. Just lift the back up first, and it just slides on the front. So just kind of slide it back a little bit. Now your fuel line normally would be up there that they disconnect. So just pull that off, get everything out of the way, slide the tank back and up. Take the tank and just set it down. Get yourself a little stool or something and set it down. And when you set it down, make sure you be careful, because if it's too heavy and you bang it down, you can break that fuel nipple because it's down on the bottom there. So that's basically how you take the gas tank off. Okay, so this is where your air filter is, right here. A lot of guys talk about the rubber strip. They take the little strip out. This bike already has it out, but there's a little gasket strip that goes right in here. You just peel that out, and from what I understand, they say that's worth a couple horsepower, makes the motor breathe a little better. So when you hear people saying about their strip is removed, that's what they're talking about. Right here, there's a little sealing gasket. So to get the air filter out, you need your 10mm socket. Loosen up the 3 bolts. And that'll take this plastic plate off. Nothing falls out, just take it off real easy. And then you have the two 4mm, these two. Those are the 4mm Allen bolts. Loosen them up. And they'll come loose. They really don't come out of the air filter. They kind of stay in there. So if you can't get them all the way out, don't worry about it. Just get it so it's loose. But the bolts really don't come out of the filter itself. You can see the bolts are still in there, so just leave them in there. Just pull the air filter out, real easy. You're going to take the new air filter, read the directions. Some of these take a little bit of oil you have to put on them to keep them clean. Slide it down in there. If you're replacing it with a stock air cleaner, you don't use oil. It's just a paper element, so you don't want to put oil on it. This is one of the high flow filters, and sometimes the oil is what traps the dirt. If you put too much oil, like a lot of guys do, you'll actually make it run worse because the oil blocks the air going in. So again, make sure you read the directions to see if you even have one that requires that. It's like I say, some do and some don't. Snug these bolts up. Don't over tighten them, you'll crack the plastic again. Just go easy. Put your plastic ring back on. And again, with putting bolts in, more than one bolt, you have to put each bolt in. Don't tighten one bolt all the way up. Put them all in and then tighten them. And one thing I forgot to tell you, right here and right here, there's a zip tie on there that holds this wiring harness. Again, this bike's already been worked on, but if you had a stock bike, those zip ties need to be cut. So I didn't have to do it on this bike, but if yours has never been apart, you have to cut those zip ties. Then just snug these bolts up. Again, don't over tighten them. Just get them snug. Get a zip tie, just kind of fish it down through there. It's kind of like putting shoelaces in. Just put it in through there, through the other one, pull it tight, cut off the extra. That just makes sure your wires don't fall down out of the way. So that's basically it for changing the air filter. We're just going to put the gas tank on in the reverse order. When you put it on, you want to slide it down in. It hits actually on these rubbers. There's a rubber bumper there and a rubber bumper on this side. That's actually where the gas tank sits down. So when you put the tank in, you're going to slide it down in, make sure it's on those bumpers, and then just drop it down in the back. Okay, so let's put the gas tank back on. You got that, son? My hands in. Okay. Again, you just want to catch it, and you can look underneath and see where it's going to start to hit those bumpers. It goes right on. Now make sure you get your fuel line here up out of the way. You got your rubber grommets you took off, so make sure you slide them in now on the inside ones. Slide those ones in. Make sure you get your wire connector so it's not tucked up under there. Just kind of make sure everything's out of the way. Drop the tank down. Goes down real easy. If you have to fight it, you're doing something wrong. So you want to put your bolt in, make sure you got your grommet on it. Put your bolt in this side. Put the bolt in the other side. And put your lines on. This is the vent lines for the gas tank. Make sure you snap those hoses on all the way. They go on a little tight, but nothing bad. Take your ground wire, get it put on. Snug your bolts up. You want to put your connector back on, your electrical connector. Make sure you snap it on good. And tuck it kind of back up out of the way so it's not hanging in the way of anything. Tighten up your ground. And when you get it down to almost tight, just kind of hold the wire and then tighten the bolt, because if you don't, the wire can spin and sometimes you can crack it. So basically, getting really close to being done. That's the back half. That's all you got to do. Up in the front, take your rag out, just push your line on. It'll snap on. You'll hear it snap. Once it's on, just kind of give it a little tug. Make sure that it's on, you don't have any leaks, and you're good to go. That's basically the end of it. You want to start the bike up. What you can do is turn the key on. Turn just your key on. Turn your kill switch up on your handlebar. Turn it on. It'll pressurize the system. So when you do that, you can make sure that the line's not leaking. Jiggle it around, make sure nothing's leaking. That way you don't have a risk of a fire with the engine running. So you can actually pressurize the system that way without starting the bike. If everything looks good, you can start the bike and you're ready to go. Thanks for watching Witch Doctors How To.